Welcome everyone to this new live of mine. As I said yesterday, I'll be making more live streams. So I planned to for today. This is the first one. The second one will happen several hours later. So I'm doing this live stream first, then I'll take a little break, and then start with the next live stream. This live stream is about recognizing the traps of divination, and the other one today will be about what they call kingdom marriages. So I'm going to examine that. Now, I've planned them in via StreamYard, so you should get notifications that the live stream is upcoming. If not, check that if you click the bell notification at after my YouTube name, so you get notifications of it. I'm glad many of you noticed the notification this live stream was upcoming because many people are already in, and many already have shown themselves in the live chat, so I don't have to ask for that. Thank you very much. Demetria, Curly Girl, Terry, Ismir, Julie, thank you all for being here. The rest that comes in, please let me know that you're here also. So, okay. Before I continue, how many of you heard about this movie called The Witch? Faria, thanks for being here. How many of you already saw the movie? Let me know in the live chat. You can see the cast down here of those that playing to the movie. And the movie's from 2015. It received a lot of criticism. And as you can see here, hold on. Okay. Just wait a moment. I don't know why the internet is a bit slow at right now, but praise the Lord. As you can see here clearly, even the title is written with old English spelling. Because they write witch with a double V instead of a W. That's how the W was written in English with two V's in the 17th century. So they really want to make this an historical movie. But as you know, it's designed by pagans, so the pagans have their agenda with it. Now, I watched this movie several times because A, when people use subliminal messages, I can see through it. Or when pagans make their productions and invest millions in it because there's something they want to reach, there's some impact they want. And since 2015, since the movie came out, a lot of people have been debating what's the meaning of the movie? What's the meaning of the movie? And the producers of the movie said that they're not going to tell people what they mean with the movie. They allow it open for interpretation. The fact that the producers has decided we're going to leave it open for interpretation because there's something they only want few people to recognize. And there's something you need to understand. Just like Christ spoke in parables to prevent unworthy people to abuse the knowledge, the same way pagans release their information, but they don't want everyone to capture it. So that's why the pagans made this movie, and it involves the gospel also, and they want only those worthy and smart enough to understand what the movie is teaching. Now, I'm going to explain the hidden warning behind this movie. Because this movie actually contains a hidden warning that most people that watch it don't see. Most people are either attracted by the good looking actress or by the feminine figure on the poster, and they watch the movie and they are annoyed by the old fashioned English spoken, or they're upset with the Puritan theme, or they're excited by the sudden turns in the movie, and they're very surprised by the end of the movie. And by the way, if you don't wish to have any spoilers, please stop watching this live right now. If you continue, you're going to encounter some spoilers, I guarantee you. But hey, the ending of the movie has been discussed on the internet over and over again. So if by now you still haven't watched the movie, well, spoilers have been out already. Now look, Most people that watch the movie don't capture the warning. All right? Now, seeing this like this with on my screen when you type in The Witch in Google and you see the poster for the movie and you see some screenshots from scenes, what do you think the hidden warning is? I'll give you uh, 2 minutes to answer. What do you think the hidden warning is? Just even if you haven't watched the movie, there are no wrong answers. What do you think the hidden warning is? I'll come back within 2 minutes. Let me know your answers. All right. Already see there are some answers in the live chat, so just an half a minute more, then I'll continue. Okay. Someone says the main character finds out she's a witch. The mentor said, "Be careful, someplace you go and people you meet, you might get attachment of an evil entity." Someone Terry said, "Just guessing how powerful she is or her group." Ismir said, "Demonic possession." Fadia said, "Don't mess with the darkness." All right. This is the first lesson you'll learn today, and write this down on a piece of paper. Make note of it, and if at least one of you repeats it in the live chat for me, I'll be very happy. No mass production is done for entertainment purposes. Repeat it after me. No mass production is done for entertainment purposes. Oh, yes. I want you to write this down for yourself, and I want at least one of you to repeat it in a live chat. No mass production is done for entertainment purposes. Listen, if you want to record a movie just for fun, you can buy a digital camera or a video camera at some electronic shop. You can go out with some friends and record some movie of you guys joking one another and have fun. It may cost together maybe around $500, okay? Or maybe $2,000 if you have to hire a place or whatever, okay? Why would they spend millions? Oh, and let's see, the budget for this movie was $4 million. Why would they spend $4 million just to produce a movie that takes place in around the mid 17th century New England? And it's about a topic a lot of people consider nonsense, witchcraft. Why would they do that? 4 million. Yeah, Rashid, but the costumes and the locations, okay, you can get cheap costumes, okay, but even if you consider the costumes and the location, it still would not even match $200,000 at the max. They spend millions, sometimes even spend 10 or $15 million for a movie. Why pay so many people so much money? Why make it so expensive? Listen, if you're willing to pay a lot for something, it means that it's very valuable to you. If you see a car is $10,000 and see another car for $2,000, if it's just you wanting a car, you'll go for the one for that's $2,000. But if you want to impress people and you want to achieve something bigger than just driving a car, you will go for the one of 10,000. That car of 2,000 is perfectly fine, $2,000. But if you want to impress people, then you may go for a more expensive car. So when people are willing to spend a lot on something, this is because there is some agenda that they want to achieve. So you spent $4 million producing this movie, and the thing is, there aren't that many actors in it. There aren't that many. There aren't that many special effects. There aren't even that many actors that you should pay that much. So the amount of actors in it are small. The special effects are quite poor. There are almost no special effects. So why 4 million? And then when people ask questions, you don't even want to explain the meaning of the movie. Now, apart from this movie, all those movies out there, I'm not talking about those indie movies. I mean those movies that independent artists make. Well, independent artists or people that just buy a video camera and together with friends make movies. I'm not talking about those because even such movies often have a specific agenda behind it. So if even common people with just a video camera have a specific agenda behind the movies or productions they make, whether it's a movie or a song or whatever, then what do you think those pagans do when they spend millions? They literally spent their fortunes risking making a movie. Because what if they bring out the movie and nobody likes the movie? Then they wasted all the millions, but they're willing to take the risk because there's something else they want to achieve. It's not about the money. Let me explain it. They don't produce those movies to make profit. That's a hoax. They don't make those movies to make money out of it. Look, if you spend $10 million making a movie and you only get 1 million views in cinemas, let's say you get $2 for every ticket sold in a cinema. That's $20 million. It's just double of what you've used. Okay, and then you have DVDs, all of that. But today, most people don't even go to cinema; they just rip things online, straight up. And today, you can even go to Netflix and all of that and watch movies. Sometimes movies don't even go to cinemas; go right away to Netflix or to Disney or to Amazon Prime or whatever. So I'm telling you, this movie was just 4 million. Then there are movies that cost like 80 million. I believe the Rising of the Planet of the Apes cost like $70 million, if I'm correct. Okay? Look at that. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a science fiction movie about a monkey that receives genetic treatment and he begins to speak like a human and he leads a whole revolt against human species. Such a very unrealistic movie, but it spent $70 million on it. The reason I keep repeating it is because it's very important. Even people that without much money, when they make stuff, they have a purpose. They want to influence people, they want to express their opinion, or they want to teach people. So if even common folks out there with with less money to spend make things with a purpose, then those pagans really want to shake people. Now, as I'm going to talk a little bit now about the time in which this movie takes place. It's around 1630 till 1650. Okay, and okay, I'm going to share another screen now, so be patient with me. Let me go to. Okay, let's see. Can you see the background? Well, I did not make this map, okay, but it does show the political situation of the world in 1650. This is the middle of the 17th century, okay? The 17th century was an era not only of colonial exploitation, but also an era of a lot of piracy. And it was also an era of religious conflict. And what you see on the map here, hold on, let me go to the map and make it larger for you. you see on the map is that you see the British Isles with Ireland. The reason I say with Ireland because a lot of Irish people are upset when you say British Isles, including Ireland, that includes them. So you have the British Isles and Ireland over here, and back then Scotland and England were two separate countries, but already England was overpowering uh, the north, the Scotland. So that's why they're one. So the English dominance went all the way to North America, and yet several colonies established. Now on this map, you do not see the Dutch colonies. Why not? Because the Dutch Republic was not even recognized as a separate country back then. The Dutch Republic became big due to piracy, and the Dutch pirates took over many plots of land. So that's why on this map, the maker did not include the Dutch colonies because the Dutch Republic wasn't even recognized. And by the way, it's after the Dutch Empire, the colonial empire collapsed in 1795 that they began to classify it as Dutch territories. Okay? So in 1630 to 1650, this was the political situation of the world. You had the Kingdom of France with the Bourbon dynasty, and then you had New France, which consisted of Canada, Acadia, and Louisiana. Well, this country was a big failure. You had the English provinces over here. You had the Portuguese America, which you call Brazil. You had the Portuguese captaincies over here that went into contact with the client kingdoms here in Africa. And Spain also had, Spain was a union of kingdoms. And here you can see also built kingdoms all the way in Americas. It went all the way from Alaska, you can see here, till the tip of South America, including the Philippines. So this was the world at the time that of the context of the movie. You had a lot of religious conflicts. When you see here in orange, the Holy Roman Empire was called, or the Holy Empire of the German nation, as it was called officially. The Holy Roman Empire was really a loose confederacy of nations that all used Germanic languages. That's all it was. The Scandinavian kingdoms were excluded from it. As you can see, the Dutch Republic was considered part of the Holy Roman Empire. It was later recognized as a separate state. Okay? And there was a war between the Protestants and Catholics. And the British Isles were, for the most part, Protestant. And Ireland was mainly Catholic also. And you had, but here's the thing: under Henry VIII, who was one of the English kings, who also became king of Ireland. He installed the Anglican Church. The Anglican Church is actually this kind of the same Roman Catholic system, but with the English king as the head. And the Anglican Church deviated from the gospel. So there was a resistance movement amongst English believers called the Puritans, saying we want to go to the pure gospel. Well, they didn't end up with the pure gospel to begin with, because they actually turned to a cult. I'm not saying they were not believers, but they ended up building cults instead of going to the true gospel, and the Puritans were persecuted a lot, even murdered, so they fled to North America. And together with the Amerindian chiefs, they lived in harmony in their settlements. For example, in the movie The Witch, in the beginning, you see a scene of an English settlement with Native Americans, or Amerindians walking in it. At least they show don't. I don't believe that they show black folks, but that's not necessary here. So, New England, this place, from here it takes like 3.5 weeks with a ship to arrive in England, or in what today in the British Isles, and yet a lot of refugees that fled here. So white folks fleeing from other white folks coming after them. So now that you understand the context of the time of this movie, now you also will understand why this movie cannot be just a production just to make people laugh or to make people thrilled. So, yeah, so let's go to the context of this movie, okay? This is not just about the movie. I'm using the hidden warning of the movie to teach you in this live stream. So you have this, okay, so you have this family that moved from England, where they had a stable, easy life. They moved all the way from England to North America. Actually, they fled. They joined a community of Puritans. And then the father gets into a conflict with the community leaders and they end up banning him. And when they banned him, he built his own farm somewhere else. But the movie is quite unclear in this because the movie shows you that they are leaving the settlement and they suddenly are in a farm somewhere. So, how did the father build that farm all by itself? Or did they move to an abandoned farm? But anyway, they were out of the local community. But still, they managed to survive. So you had the father, William, the wife, Catherine, you had the oldest daughter, Thomasin, you had a little baby Samuel, which was born after they were banned, and you had an older brother. I mean, not older brother. I mean, then you had the second child, which was a younger brother of Thomasin, and you had a twin, Jonas and Mercy. Now, Jonas refers to the prophet Jonah, and the prophet Jonah expressed the mercy of God, and mercy refers to God's good attitude towards mankind. So the twin that was called Jonas and Mercy, that is a symbolic reference to God's uh, goodwill towards mankind. So even in the names of the characters of the movie, they are teaching you. So most people don't pay attention to the names, but the names really give it away. Now, so in the beginning of the movie, you see them in a courthouse where the father is fighting with the judges, saying, I thought we came here to preserve the true faith. Now, the father was stubborn, he was proud, and he didn't want to admit he was wrong. Later in the movie, he admitted this. So the family was banned. And the only one that showed some type of sadness for being banned in the movie was Thomasin, the eldest daughter. Okay? And when you go through the movie, you will notice that she was actually acting out of a role as a female. For example, the father and the son, the oldest son, which is her younger brother, went to hunting once. They came back. Okay? Then one day, and I'm saying one night, I mean, the son, which is her younger brother, wanted to go with the horse to the field to check whether the trap they've laid captured something. And she just appeared, telling her younger brother she wants to come. And the young brother was saying, rather not. But she even eventually blackmailed him, saying, if you don't bring me with you, I'll wake mom and dad right now. So they ended up going into the woods. And it even became morning. And she was riding on the horse, and the younger brother was walking on the floor. Why didn't they both go on the horse? So she was on the horse, and he was walking like a slave. And she was talking about about the windows and all of that they had in England. And she was talking about the easy life they had. Now, many people see this scene and don't think much of it, but hold on. You have this woman who's willing to do something that mostly men did, go out and hunt, and she was not experienced in it. Her younger brother with her father were, but now she wanted to take on a masculine role. and she even blackmailed the younger brother in allowing her to take the masculine role. And the younger brother had to walk like a slave, and she was on the horse, kind of being in charge. That is the first red flag that this character was bad. Because why would any girl in her right mind want to go into the woods at night after being banned by whole community? Listen, they were banned by the local community. Okay? So they were actually living in an isolated place. So in an isolated place, you're willing to go into the forest at night with your little brother. The little brother knew where the trap was and all of that. You have no experience, but now you want to take charge. So this is a gender inversion right over here. She wants the masculine leading role, and she usurped this from her younger brother. Now that is what witches do. Witches invert their femininity by seeking to control men. That's a red flag right over there. And that is the number one red flag that most people didn't even discuss in their discussions of the movie. That was the number one scene where you would realize, oh, so this woman, this teenage girl isn't really that pure. Because many people that watch the movie would say that this Thomason character was a very devout Christian girl who even admitted her sins and won forgiveness from God. Well, when you listen to the prayer she uttered in the movie, you realize it was actually a prayer for help. It was really a confession of how dark she was. So a lot of people think, oh, she prayed to God, but God failed her, but Satan showed up, and that's why she chose Satan's side. No, 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 no. She was always clinging onto darkness, but she went along with the Puritan society she grew up in, playing the role of a devout Christian girl that always does what people want from her. She always longed for something that God was not willing to give her, namely masculine authority or masculine strength. She longed for something outside of God's design for her. Now, there are more instances in the movie where this is shown, but there's another thing about the movie that's very weird. And I'm going to go to another screen now. Oh, hold on. In the movie, you have this goat that you see over here. Can you all see the black goat with the horns? This is a twin, by the way. Jonas, the boy, and Mercy, the girl. And the goat is a symbol for the Baphomet, Satan's butt buddy. So the Baphomet is a symbol for initiation into demonic contracts. Okay, and then you have Jonas, which refers to the sign of Jonas, as that Christ talked about, and mercy, which refers to God's goodwill of mankind. And behind, you see something like a cabin that's not finished. Now, hold on a minute. This is symbology right over here. This is symbology. Let me explain symbology over here. You have the forest around. Here you have a farm. A farm is a settlement. You have barrels here that contain water. This is the house over here. Here you have a part that's unfinished. And you have Jonas and mercy, a symbolic for God's goodwill. And you have this goat referring to satanic initiation. In the movie, the father, William, ends up having to restrain this goat from harming the children. But now, ask yourself the following question. Why did the father bring this wild black goat with horns with him anyway if he has little children around? What is that? Now, that shows you that there was neglect from the community, in this case, the community leader, which was the father. And this neglect was what opened the door for Satan or the demons to operate. The weird thing is, in this movie, those two little children often have conversations with this goat. Not a camera, but they always claim to be talking to Black Phillip. They call this goat Black Phillip, and they were kind of fond of Black Phillip. And they would even say this like Black Phillip said this, Black Phillip taught us this. So the children were learning from Black Phillip. Why were the children learning from a black goat, which was just an animal? Why were they not learning from their parents? So that shows you when people build a community not according to God's blueprint, it's going to be like this. They're going to face how would I say, they're going to face hinder, and either it will end up a mess like this, unfinished, or it will be very fragile and not stable. So you have neglect from the father and the mother also that led to this goat being a role model for the two children. Now, another symbol in the movie is this of a witch that lived in the forest. And when you look at her, she is well dressed, living in the forest by herself without male leadership, which is a red flag. And what you see here is that I'm not going to show this for long because it's quite disturbing. This here is where they show that the witch was actually into using sex magic on children, because real witches tend to do such stuff, especially in the past. It was common. So I'm not going to keep this image in view for you because it's quite disturbing. I really got angry when I saw that the first time on Netflix, but it is realistic, historically speaking. Now, in the first tragedy in the movie was not that they were banned, but that the little baby brother of the family was kidnapped while Thomason here went with it to the playing with it nearby. Then you had the younger brother encountering this female witch that ends up kissing him, a grown woman kissing a little boy, luring him in, and later he was found by the parents. That was after the younger brother and Thomason went to the forest where she took the leading role. So let me get it straight. Thomason was on the horse, and the little brother was walking in the forest. The little brother went after one of the, I would say, rabbits over there because their dog also went loose. She fell from the horse, well, rightfully so. She shouldn't take a masculine role to begin with, and she was found by the parents, and the parents blamed her, rightfully so. First, you had the baby brother being kidnapped under her care. Then you had the younger brother getting lost also. Now she was found, parents very angry, and the little brother was found several days later. But meanwhile, the little brother was, I would say, molested by this creep over here. Okay, so you see that in this movie, not only did the lead character Thomason want something God was not willing to give her, she also had a pattern of misfortune that followed her. First, her little brother got killed because the little brother was kidnapped, the baby brother. Then her younger brother was almost killed, but he survived. Okay, and she fell from the horse. Well, why did she want to be on the horse in a leading role anyway? Okay, that shows you that anytime people go outside of a God's design for them, things go wrong. Well, rightfully so. And in the movie, Black Phillip warns twin, the twin siblings, that Thomason here was evil. And the goat here told the twin that she, Thomason, was a witch. And she pretended to be a witch just to scare them off. Okay? Now, taking all of this together, there's one thing you need to question yourself. This Thomason figure, she not only causes misfortune to her family, but she also plays a victim. Now, she is targeted by her parents, that's for sure. Her parents are taking out their frustration on her. That's wrong from the parents. But here's the thing. Here's the very weird part about this movie that a lot of people don't ask. Why didn't she insist on staying at the Puritan community? That the parents were banned is one thing, but she had an option. And look, they were not that far removed from the community to begin with. They were just right outside of it. If she wanted, she could have run back to the community and asked for help. She never did it. She stayed with her parents that were treating her badly. She knew she had options, but she still stayed with abusive parents. And while staying with abusive parents, she wanted to take on the masculine role, overpowering her little brother. Because the father was very invested in the younger brother. And the mother was kind of bitchy towards her, the eldest daughter. So she kind of was jealous or envious of the leading role that the younger brother was taking. So she wanted to usurp it. So hold on a minute. Why didn't she just go back to the community? She could have done that. And historically speaking, there were many Puritan villages here and there in New England back then, and they were all in contact with one another. So she could have easily go to another Puritan village just like that, and she would have been received well. So this brings up another side of this character. Why didn't she put her own safety first? She put her pride first, her own will, her own longings above her own safety. Now, that is one big red flag about dangerous or bad people, is that they put their own pride or their own validation above their own safety. Naturally, even when someone is wrong or stubborn, when they realize that their own safety is at stake, they will go for their safety. She didn't do this. So the goat, which we later see was just an evil spirit in disguise, was telling the truth about her. And those two twin children realized the truth early on. The younger brother, the one that's just younger than her, didn't notice it. So, look, what we get out of this movie is that bad people always have warning signals coming from them. They always have warning signals around them that they are bad people. Now, it doesn't mean that they are malignant immediately. There's a difference between bad people and evil people. Evil people are really people who are just that, evil. They're self-destructive and they insist on validating their self-destruction. That's evil. Bad people are just people who don't want to self-reflect nor comply with justice. They just want to flee all the time. That's bad people. Now, evil people cannot really hide because they're too obvious. But bad people can easily hide. And sometimes you may even confuse bad people for good people. So those that watch the movie see this Puritan teenage girl that does her best to please God and her Christian parents, but she's mistreated for it and God doesn't help her. It's not true. She always longed to be relieved, and she always longed for the ease in life without facing any challenges. The thing is, she never had the guts to actually go for it because she was restrained by the society she grew up in. In England, she couldn't have done it because she was way too little. And in the Puritan community where they lived, it was quite strict. If you, as a woman, even went outside of God's natural design, there were repercussions. And if you were really involved in witchcraft, you would be executed. So she was kept in check. But now that the family was banned outside the community and there were less social restraints, now she had more space to express her longing to be left alone, her longing to subvert God's design. Do you follow me now? Let me know in the live chat. Do you follow me till now? Let me know. If you ask questions, I'm going into them afterwards. But do you follow me till now? Let me know. So, this woman over here, this girl, this female character, she kept herself in danger and she wanted to subvert the masculine role of her younger brother. Oh, and now you understand why she didn't do what she should have done, go for safety. If your parents are out of their mind and you have a whole community there that banned your parents, if they banned your parents and you would run back to the community, they will receive you. It's their obligation. Or you can go to another Puritan community and it would help you out. She didn't go for safety because she was not safe herself. She was not safe herself. She admitted that in one of her prayers that she prayed, she admitted longing for worldly comfort, and she asked for God's forgiveness and His light to guide her. But hold on a minute. If you know that you were clinging onto traps of the world, why not just admit, oh Lord, I was wrong for longing for relief, but you know what? I trust your guidance. You don't ask for God's light if God's light already showed you that you were wrong. So the fact that she admits she was wrong, but she'll ask God to show her her light and for forgiveness shows that she wasn't really into serving the Heavenly Father. She wasn't into for a solution. She just wanted to appease the Heavenly Father so she wouldn't be challenged. That's it. So even that prayer she made in that movie was an abomination because it wasn't really a prayer of repentance or of interest in for solution. It was really that she admitted, "Oh, I'm wrong. I can't avoid that I'm wrong, but Father, please, you understand." She was actually trying to blackmail God into understanding her darkness. That's what she was praying, and that's why the Heavenly Father did not answer the prayer at all, because she really was not into solutions. She just wanted an excuse for the darkness she was operating in. And she used the bad situation that she was in, namely being abused by her parents, as an excuse for not being a better individual. She could have gone back to the Puritan community and it would have helped her out. But she stayed in a bad situation because then she could use that bad situation as an excuse for her own bad motives or her own bad attitude. Now, she's not evil, the worst of the worst, but she was a bad individual. And that's how a lot of folks are in daily life also. They will admit when there's no other option that they're wrong, but they show no actual interest in becoming better. They just want to get rid of consequences for being wrong, or they want to blackmail others into understanding them being wrong. Instead of realize, okay, I'm wrong, I want to be better. They show no interest, no desire to be better, nor for long-term solutions. They just want relief. So even when they pray or they say they're believers, they're lying. So this Thompson character is a liar. Straight up. She was bad from the start. And that father of hers is also a bad figure, filled with pride and resentment. And he kept a dangerous animal, a black goat, near his family, so it's also neglectful. But this was no excuse for Thomason to cling onto the leaf that much, because she had options for better. If she had no options, then it would have been different. But she had options. She just was not ready to face herself completely and to comply with justice. And the same way, you have people out there who will admit when they are wrong, but they're not willing to comply with justice. Just admit they're wrong just to get your sympathy. Okay? So, do you recognize people in your life who are like this Thomason? Let me know in the live chat. I'll give you a minute to answer. So, another red flag about this character is that even when she noticed tragedy after tragedy happening to her people, she did not leave. When her baby brother was kidnapped and killed, there should have been a red flag to her saying, you know what? I need to get away from my parents. My father is neglectful. My mother is getting along with it, and we are out of the community. We can be robbed. We can be kidnapped, and the bad thing can happen to us. I'm in a very bad position. So let me go back to the community because I can't stay here. Let me go back to the community and plead for them to also take my siblings with me because my parents are out of their mind. The first tragedy happened, she didn't bother. Then, due to her own unfeminine behavior, her little brother ended up missing. Okay? Uh, and then she also realized that her father was a lying bastard. She didn't pay attention to that. Then you had the father being killed by that goat. Okay? Then the mother turned on her, but she actually defended herself. And she ended up killing the mother who tried to kill her. And before that, the younger brother also died. What happened to the two siblings? Unknown. And it's after that she approached the goat, Black Phillip. And when she thought, okay, this is useless, the black goat spoke to the goat spoke to her. And the goat asked her, "What do you want?" And she answered, "What can you give?" And the goat suggested, "Do you want to taste butter? Do you want to have a sweet life? Do you want to see the world?" She said, "Yes." And you can now see how the goat stood up on like the goat actually transformed swiftly into a, a pirate, a human pirate. And the goat now, in the form of a human pirate, was standing behind her. And she asked the goat, "What do you want from me?" Because she realized very well that the goat will want something in return. And the goat now, from the spirit, told her to take off your clothes. She kind of felt uncomfortable, but she did it anyway. She was still covered under the blood of her mother that she just killed out of self-defense. Now, ask yourself, which teenage girl, after seeing all the tragedy happening to her people, including her own mother trying to kill her, and she ends up having to kill her mother, just goes and asks for comfort from a demonic creature? What? That shows you that that's what she really wanted from the start. She could have still run to the nearest Puritan community. That option was there all along. She never took it. So eventually, the goat or the demon made plain to her, you have to take off your clothes. And she just did it. And the goat told her, you see that book over there? But she couldn't write her own name. And the demon told her, I'm going to guide your hand. After that, you see her walking naked into the forest, and the goat, in a shape of a goat, coming behind her. And she ended up walking towards a witch coven where you had witches celebrating I believe it's called a Black Sabbath, around the bonfire. So you had witches around the bonfire in the woods, naked, screaming and chanting great languages. And she joined them, and at some point they all began to levitate due to the demonic strength that was channeled into them. And you could see her levitating into the sky and laughing. And that's how the film ended. Now, many people focus on the end of the movie in contrast to the whole of the movie, in which she was this so-called innocent, good, and kind Christian girl. No, she was not. She was not. She was a witch. She was let's say, a witch informing all along. She had witchy tendencies, wanted to go outside her feminine design. And those witchy attitudes that she had, that she held onto, opened the door for harm to haunt her, which also haunted her family and even cost her own life. So, her witchy ways endangered not only her younger brother, it also endangered the rest of her family, and she still did not give it up. So when tragedy hit all her relatives, she was left all alone, she approached the goat. Hold on a minute, the goat killed her father. The goat killed her father in a rage. And because of that, the mother turned on her to kill her. So the goat that killed her father indirectly also almost killed her. So from all means, she should be very upset with the goat and wanted to kill the goat. No, the goat who just killed your father, who indirectly caused your mother to almost strangle you. So the goat put you in a bad situation where you had to use self-defense on your own mother and kill your mother. Now the same goat who caused all that harm on your family, you're going to ask favors from that goat? What? Now, this movie, The Witch, is giving you one message, and that is beware of bad people information. I call them bad people information. You know why? Because they have a bad attitude and they're slowly turning into bad people. It's a slow progression into darkness. But often we don't notice that slow progression. So when the people end up truly bad after several months or several years, we don't realize that they are bad people and they have a bad influence on us. So when you look at it well, there was never a difference between this Christian looking Thomason and this filthy pedophile witch over here. There was never a difference between the two. This one reached the full maturity as a bad individual, as a bad woman. She was a bad woman in formation. And while she was being deformed more and more, she could have easily decided, you know what, this goes too far. I need to stop. I need to go back. But no, she longed for the ease. She longed for the ease and relief. And she ended up just like this pedophile creep over here in the movie. But a lot of people look like this. A lot of people look like this. Okay? but they are actually this. They haven't reached the full expression of this yet. They're not fully bad yet, but they're becoming bad more and more. So this was actually the transition into this. Now, when you notice someone is heading towards something like this, you can still minister onto them, but keep your safe distance because they're not safe. Okay, so I just discussed the true meaning of this movie called The Witch. Do you recognize similarities in the people in your own life? Let me know in the live chat. I'll give you a minute to answer. Look, we shouldn't expect people to always smile and jump of joy when they're being abused and mistreated. Absolutely not. That's pathological. Okay? But to have someone that keeps themselves over long periods of time in a bad situation, even though other options are openly available to them, that is a red flag. Never ignore that red flag. When someone has options for better, but they just refuse the options for better that are in their face, that is because they are unsafe too. If there is danger, that means that you need to get out of danger. But if someone keeps themselves in danger, even though the solutions or the safety is right over there, it is because they somewhere are risky too. They're not evil, evil, evil to the core, absolutely not. But somewhere they're dangerous too. They're risky to have around. So learn to recognize the warning signals of bad people on time. Bad people will not approach you like this, completely out of their minds, with a demonic look staring at you. No, they will not approach. They will not approach you with blood on their skin or with seductive eyes. Bad people often appear like this: cute, soft, innocent, like a baby. That's how bad people often appear. And because we fall for this cute, baby like image or childlike image of bad people, we often realize that we're dealing with a dangerous individual. An individual who is an open door for tragedy to afflict us. It's one thing when you encounter a figure like this, who's openly demonic and openly uh, deranged. But if someone would approach you like this, immediately you would think, get out of here. You're way out of line. But when they come like this, you tend to embrace them and pamper them. And that's what Satan wants. He wants you to pamper and endear bad people while they still look like this. So we don't realize when they're turning into this over here. So, do you understand this hidden warning now? Let me know in the live chat. So, this movie was actually a hidden warning to those who are spiritually alert. Most people watch the movie and just thought, it's just a horror movie of a good girl gone bad. But no, the whole movie is showing you that this was a bad girl and she became bad because she held on to relief. So it was a bad girl getting worse. It wasn't a good girl turning bad. It was a bad girl getting worse. And the people around didn't know that she was getting worse. Now, eventually she did, and then she openly came out with her longing for relief because she had nothing left to lose. Whatever was restraining her parents and her family, those were keep holding her back from becoming this creep that she later became in the end of the movie. So the community she was part of, the Puritan community, was restrained on her to keep her safe. But she kept holding on to um, this longing for relief. So she had a dangerous mindset that wasn't even good for herself. Because of that, she ended up endangering herself and other people. And once the danger afflicted everyone around her and was not restraining, holding her back anymore, now she had no protection and she was completely in the dark side, dependent on demons to be safe. Now, she didn't have to end up this way. She could have easily decided, you know what, let me go back to the community. I need to get away from my parents. Or you know what, why am I envious and jealous of my little brother having a leading role? He's a man anyway. No, she wanted to subvert, uh, she wanted to subdue her little brother just to have the dominant role. She wanted something that was out of her design. And she knew instinctively that this is something that God will not give her. It's also something that nobody would tolerate. But she still wanted it because she wanted the East to get along with it. Well, she got the East at the end, but she had to surrender her long term safety and her sexual health. And that is the one sacrifice all people that embrace the world have to make. They need to sacrifice their sexual health, which includes their long term sanity. Without sexual health, you have no long term sanity. So, anytime you embrace any of Satan's offers, whether you are a devil worshiper or just a commoner who likes the opinions of the dark side, anytime you embrace some of Satan's um, cake, you have to be fake. To get a cake from Satan, you have to become fake. You have to step outside of God's design for you. And when you're outside of God's design, Satan will give you compensation in form of paranormal powers and all of that. But that's just a cheap counterfeit of what you could have had if you were loyal to Christ. All right? So she ended up naked in a forest with blood on her skin. The blood was from a dangerous situation where she almost died. And now she was levitating in the air, powered by demons. So that happens always when you embrace one of Satan's um, false promises or Satan's false offers. You have to sacrifice your sexual health, which will result in you losing your long term sanity. There's no way of remaining sane while you embrace one of Satan's offers. And that is what a lot of people do. That is what a lot of people do, including a lot of young women. It's not only young women, but also men do it. Anytime you hold on to a viewpoint or a way of thinking or an attitude that's not Christ centered, you are embracing Satan's false offers. And anytime you embrace Satan's false offers, eventually it will end up in you being sexually abased. Your sexual health is the number one thing Satan wants gone because you cannot enable Satan and be sexually healthy at the same time. Satan needs you to be sexually diseased for him to take advantage of you and to use you to take advantage of others. So, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to become sexually diseased for demons to have a grip on you. So, to embrace Satan's false offers, you have to first of all, you have to um, how should I say this? You have to lie to yourself about your situation. You have to persistently refuse the reality for you to even think status offers are valuable. The moment the moment you use your natural senses, you realize very quickly that the only and best way is the way of the Heavenly Father. But the moment you insist on wanting something God is not willing to give to you, that's because you're not reliable. And the moment you're confronted with reality that you're not reliable, you should realize, okay, I'm not reliable. I want to become better. The moment you refuse to face yourself to become better, you begin to develop desires for the dark side. So everyone who refuses to self-reflect develops dark desires as a result. Dark desires are the result of people refusing self-reflection. Anyone who self-reflects in a constructive way will not develop dark desires. They will not. Dark desires, that means a desire to control other people or to overpower other people or to invert your own sexuality or to exploit others, comes from someone not wanting to self-reflect, not wanting to embrace their own fragility and vulnerability that God designed them with. So anytime someone does not want to accept their vulnerability and weaknesses that God designed them with, they are actually um, they're going against reality. And when they are in this denial, they will long for compensation. And the compensation they're longing for, those are the dark desires. So here you see that this woman developed dark desires because she refused to self-reflect and embrace her natural design. Anytime you refuse yourself how God designed you, you will embrace dark desires. And when you are developing the dark desires, you develop them and you embrace them, holding on to them. So the moment you develop dark desires and you begin to hold on to them, the demons will get closer. The demons realize, this is an ally for us. And the longer someone holds on to dark desires, the worse off they become. At some point, they won't even recognize themselves anymore because they realize, oh dear, what I become? Now, when they are in shock of what they've become, at that point, they can easily be saved and rescued. But there are those who even don't want to face how bad they've turned out, and they keep fleeing and fleeing, and they turn into reprobates fully. So, nobody is born evil. We are born in a fallen state. That's what we all are born in. And that's why we all need to be born again and renewed in our minds. Nobody is born as a bad individual or a bad woman or a bad man. They turn bad by not embracing God's design for them. Anyone who embraces God's design for them, they may be wrong wrong here and there, but they're not bad people. The moment you refuse God's design for you, you become bad. And if you are bad and you don't turn around, you end up evil, reprobate. Do you understand that? About how people progress into darkness. So I'm telling you, beware of people who don't want to accept how God designed them. Beware of them. Beware of people. I don't care how old they are, whether it's a 11-year-old or someone in their early teens. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about someone in their early teens. I don't care if it's someone in their early teens, like 11, 12 years old, or someone in their 60s or 80s. I don't care from which ethnic background they are. I don't care how they were raised, where they were raised in a oppressive household with a lot of child abuse, or they were raised in a very loving kind household. It doesn't matter. Beware of people who are not willing to embrace how God designs them. The moment you refuse how God designs you, you become sexually diseased. And being sexually diseased means you develop dark desires. including the defective sexual longings. And that will lead to demons being attached to you, and in some cases, demons possessing you. And one thing you need to learn here, people, I'm saying bad people, when they realize the dire condition they're in, instead of just admitting, you know what, I shouldn't have gone against God's design, I shouldn't have gone against reality, or I should have done better, I can do better now. Instead of seeing the opportunity for them to become better, they want compensation by draining good people. So bad people love to be around good people because they can use the goodness or the sexual health of the good people to to build themselves out. That's why a lot of male predators love to be around wounded, kind women. A woman that's wounded but still kind is more likely to be victimized than a woman who is strong in her femininity. A woman strong in her femininity is very unlikely to be victimized. That's why sociopathic men or rapists, they are looking for women who are wounded. They're looking for wounded femininity. They don't want healthy, joyful femininity. They want wounded femininity because that's the only thing they can exploit and drain. The sociopathic man or the rapist is sexually diseased, and now he wants to exploit the little bit of sexual health that's left in a wounded woman. That's why rapists or sex predators, when they're after women, they often want to wound a woman's self-esteem first. They want to wound her energetically so that then the woman's perception is blurred, and then they can drain her sexual health, and she ends up exploited and in a mental breakdown. So, ladies, watch out for men like that. Watch out for them. And for you guys, this is the exact same warning. There are women out there who know that they are defective, who know that they are a mess. But instead of taking advantage of the opportunities to become better, they just want relief and they're looking for a sexually healthy man to drain. Now, for a bad woman or a woman with a Jezebel mindset to drain a good man is much easier because a lot of men don't recognize a bad woman, especially if she's good looking. They're so distracted by the titties, by the ass, by the legs, by all of that. Hey, I'm keeping it real over here. And that's why witches often love to be around strong male believers. It may sound very weird. Why would a witch who who has rejected God's design for femininity want to be around a strong a male believer who has embraced God's sexual design? Why? Because she hopes to trick him into covering her from the consequences she is about to face. First of all, witches are by default sexually diseased. They are filled with dark desires and their long-term sanity is gone. So such a woman, her only hope for not collapsing mentally and emotionally is by being around strong, healthy men that will bail her out by giving her a lot of psychic income in the form of loving affection. So she will feed off of the loving affection of good men just to build herself out from her own dark ways. This is something they love to do. So, always pay attention to the people around you. Don't just look at how, let's say like this, too often we judge people by the amount of harm we experience from them directly. Now, if someone approaches you with a knife to stab you, of course, it's bad news. But if someone just wants sympathy, but they never look for solutions, that's equally bad. Now, the one with a knife, the danger is immediately. The one that just wants relief all the time, the danger is indirectly, but it's still danger. Too often, the indirect danger we don't notice. And look what I'm saying. When bad people realize that you begin to see through them, they they walk away from you. Bad people don't want you to recognize what they are because they themselves are not happy with what they've become, but they're too proud uh, to admit that and to look for solutions. Bad people are not happy with what they've become. They instead want to leech off of your happiness, your joy, and your mental ease. But the moment you would see through what they are, you would confront them and kick them out. They don't want that. So bad people are very practical in selecting who they're leeching off of. They don't want people in the right mind. They want people who are wounded. Bad people love and they crave wounded people. They don't want you in a healthy, joyful state. No, in a healthy, joyful state, they get terrified of you because you can easily see through them. And by the way, God didn't tell us to trust nobody. God told us to put all our trust in Him. Okay? Because if you literally shouldn't trust anyone, you'll be paranoid all the time and you won't be able to live in a healthy way. God wants us to put all our trust in Him. So when we do have trust with other people, it's Christ-centered trust. Okay? Because without trust, no human group can function. No human being can even operate in daily life. So I need to correct Ismir on that. It is true, it's written that God be true and every man a liar. That is an expression to say that no matter what happens, God's way will always win. Listen, I've experienced this. There were bad people that realized that I would see through them, and they started arguments with me, and they just left. And I was thinking, what? Why did they begin to argue with me? Why did they leave? And later I realized, oh, that's nothing to do with me. They just didn't want me to figure out what they were. And listen to what I'm saying here. When bad people leave you, they only leave you because you're about to see through them. Bad people have no um, problem being around worse people. When they are around worse people, they can play the victim and get something out of it. But when they're around someone who is better off than they are, they can't stand it. Maybe we're wounded. Maybe we went through a mental breakdown. But that mental breakdown was a sign that you were recovering. It was a sign that we became realistic. And because of that, you couldn't handle things anymore. And now the narcissist left you. Why? That mental breakdown was a wake up call. And the bad individual knew it was a wake up call. That's why they left you during your mental breakdown. Bad people will always leave you for the sole reason that they don't want you to see them for what they are. They will recognize other bad people, but often they don't get along with other bad people. So they need to have good people to leech off. That's the curse of bad people. That's the curse of bad people. They can't get along with one another because they're all bad. So they all know that they're not reliable, none of them. They all know that each one of them is unstable. So they want stability from stable people. But here's the thing, eventually the stable people are going to get exhausted and see through them. Or if some of those stable people turn just like them, then it's useless. So bad people are spinning around, always looking for supply to be at ease. They cannot operate without narcissistic supply. They cannot. But bad people often overcompensate. They overcompensate to make you think that they are stable, to make you think they have something good coming for them. They do not. Some people won't answer your phone calls or your text messages just to let you think that they are busy, like they have a very important matters to deal with, while in fact they're just on the lazy behind watching TV or playing video games all day long. Men and women do this. They fake like they're very busy just to give you an impression that they're very important and that they have a lot of things, responsibilities waiting on them, while they have none. Yes, a lot of people will fake like they are busy, to fake like they have no time for you. The thing is, if they will spend, if you will spend time with them, realize very quickly that the only thing they have is a facade. So they want you to hold onto the facade that they portray to you. So do not venerate bad people like, whoa, they're very this and that. No, that's what they are. They're leecher. They're leechers. They just want to leech off of good people. Good people are those that embrace God's design. And once you embrace God's design, you now are renewed. You renew your mind to operate in line with Christ. Now, Jesse, if you said if you don't trust your mother, you got something twisted. Well, if your mother is out of her mind, then you shouldn't trust her. But that's something you realize later on. That's another topic. But okay, it's almost 3 o'clock here. I have another live stream coming. I believe an hour from now. It's about kingdom marriages, and I'm exploring that a little bit. So I want to close down this live stream, take a break, and for those who want to stay, come later back for another live stream. Please feel free to do so. You can find a link in my community posts, or you may have received a notification already. Again, the message of this move is to beware of people who are turning bad. Recognize them on time. Well, that's it for now. Keep it on cream with Christ, and I'll see you in next live stream.